Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a bit of an old-timer watch that could be called vintage. Launched in the late 1980s, around 1989, and built through about 1991-1992, this reference 00001 chronograph had a short production run, resulting in a final tally of somewhere between 1,100 and 1,200 watches produced. So it's rare, and it's also a bit of a seminal piece, as it represented Vacheron stepping into the modern era, one of the first ever automatic winding Vacheron Constantin chronograph options. In yellow gold, it's 38 millimeters in diameter by 10.3 millimeters thick, so it's thinner than it looks, and short, classically short, at 44.1 millimeters from lug to lug, with a 19 millimeter spacing between the lugs. The watch has a strap, which, as you can see, is a modern Vacheron Constantin factory strap. We have large rectangular scale alligator leather, medium brown, semi-gloss finish, a sheer cut side, a monotone stitch, curved spring bars, and then on the bottom, calf skin, no crimping, no gouging. It is a brand new Vacheron factory strap. And you can see here that the pre-1994 hallmarks of the buckle match those of the case, so they are of the same early 90s, late 80s era. The watch is beautifully and artisanally crafted. Taking a quick look at the lugs, you can see how sharply they break from the case. This is old school welded lug construction where the case and the lugs are built separately. The lugs are slotted into slots in the case flank. It's all welded together, and then any excess gathered material from the weld is removed to create this super sharp break. This isn't something you can do in mass production, and Vacheron production was much lower volume back then, so this welded lug case construction was suitable for the volumes they were producing at the time. Now, the watch is thinner than it looks, at only 10.3 millimeters thick. The timepiece will easily slip underneath the cuff, and I'll show it to you on my wrist so you can see that to good advantage. But it's a relatively compact watch, being so short as any good dress watch should. It'll slide underneath a sleeve. And being compact across the wrist, I can recommend it for a wrist as small as 13 centimeters circumference. So suitable for him, for her, a petite wrist, or those who have a preference for traditional sizes. Taking a look again at the case, you can see it has a rather dramatically rounded profile, and you can see how sharp the character lines, particularly of the lugs, remain, indicating the watch has been sparsely and professionally refinished in its long life. We have pump-style pushers, and you can see this is a modular chronograph because the center line of the pushers is substantially above the center line of the crown. A dramatically domed bezel. We have a sapphire framing a dial with a vintage-style Sigma mark. You can see the a priori marks, originally encouraged by a Swiss precious metals trade organization in the early 70s. They were designed to indicate the presence of solid gold on a dial, in this case, the presence of solid gold hands as well as applique indices. Now we have lovely rounded hands that are beautifully cut and polished, the kind of borderline artisanal construction you don't get when you're cranking out over 100,000 watches a year, or for that matter, even 50,000. Vacheron making far fewer than that back in the early 1990s. You could see that the sub-register hands, as well as the chronograph seconds hand, have been blackened for contrast, and each one of the sub-registers features a polished yellow gold chaptering. We have a yellow gold Vacheron Maltese cross logo. You'll see it on the dial, on the crown, and also in the design of the buckle. You can see from the arrangement of the registers that we have our combination of running seconds up at 12 o'clock. We have the minutes register over at 9 o'clock. It's an unconventional arrangement here. And then we have our chronograph hours down at the base of the dial. Now, this watch uses a Vacheron 1126 base, which is a JLC 889 automatic. It's a bidirectional winder with a hacking or stop seconds function, a 4 Hertz beat rate, 6 position adjustment, which is premium and admirable, and a 38 to 40 hour power reserve. Dubois de Praz is a modular complication specialist from Lelou, Switzerland, that built the module that goes on top of this JLC base, and DD uses a vertical clutch system for its chronograph, so you can see that the chronograph engages without any extraneous motion or jump or stagger when you start it up. That's the advantage of a lateral clutch, and the watch would have been 30 meters water resistant in its day, but it's best not to test the theory. Back in the late 80s, when this watch was conceived, there was no thought to a display caseback. It was thought that the integrity in the manufacture was to create something that was finely detailed without the need to show it, because only a watchmaker would be able to spot check. The idea of peacocking with casebacks didn't become common until the mid-90s, and so Vacheron's notion of integrity at the time was a beautifully hand-finished and hand-adjusted movement, but inside a solid caseback. Rest assured, it is a gorgeous JLC base caliber that is every inch the equal of the Vacheron reputation. And again, you can see those pre-1995 hallmarks, particularly the Helvetic head with the Geneva G for the assay office on the caseback. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this emerging vintage option.